Bale and friends. Casey and Monica. And Monica.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. I'm Ann with Dale Homestead.
Hey, everyone. It is Casey over at Ormsby Farm, the Halfway Homestead.
And I'm Monica at Bland's Promised Land Ranch. How are you guys doing today?
Well, we certainly hope they're doing great. What we get to talk about tonight is figs, all about figs, growing figs, how to grow them, how to plant them, where to plant them, how to trim them, what to do, what to feed them, what soil you need, all those kinds of things. And this is going to be a lot of fun because I have a lot of questions.
I have a lot of questions too. And I know that a lot of our listeners probably have questions too, and also think, if I want to start with fig trees, where can I go to start fig trees? And that's great because today's episode sponsor is going to be right here. You can go on our Amazon Linktree, and from a local farm, you can get a 4 different plant variety of different figs. And we're going to be asking questions about each one of these figs tonight because I know that our guests have talked about one of them, the brown turkey, right before we got live. So I know that I'm going to be asking the difference of all of that kind of stuff. But head over, scan the QR code, head over to our Linktree link. It doesn't cost you any more money, but it just shows Amazon you came from us and that you like us. So that's a good thing to like us. But should we bring up our hosts?
Who, what, where? Yeah.
Hello, who is this?
Yay!
John and Sarah from Two Doves Bees and Gardens.
Welcome!
How are you all tonight?
To have y'all back, because both of y'all are like a plethora of information. So every time we have you on, we kind of like suck the knowledge out of you so that we can inhale it. But figs, let's talk about figs because as most of our subscribers know, we pre-shoot our episodes. But when the episode comes out, it really is kind of fig season. It's when the figs are at the height of their season. So, Ann, I'm going to start with you because you were talking before we went on the episode about a fig tree that is a little bit older, but you had some questions on it. Huh?
I do have some questions, and we really appreciate you being here, John and Sarah from Two Doves Bees and Gardens, and they've got a plethora of information that we're going to. That's the second time we've said that word tonight, but we're going to pick your brain a little bit. My mama planted a fig tree in our backyard back in 1978.
That's a very young fig tree. It's probably very beautiful because that was a very good year.
It has had vines overtake it and various things through the years. We rescued it, and Worth and I did just a few years ago, actually. We cleared out everything around, and so this big giant fig tree kind of grows sideways. It's a wonderful playground for the children, but it has grown up like 50 feet up in the air. So although I love it, do you have some suggestions as to how I can maintain that particular, which I don't know what kind of fig tree it is, to be able to reach or get or try to get the fruit without having to break my neck climbing 50 feet up in the air?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, figs are so interesting. And just as a side note, I just put up a blog post on our website talking about how figs are kind of the sustainable fruit. And I think almost everyone should have one on their homestead.
Yes.
We have about 100, but anyway.
Wow.
So yeah, for figs to maintain them, I mean, if you let them go, they'll grow and grow and grow. the figs typically grow on new wood. So you've probably been told, you probably need to prune the tree, and that's probably why.
Okay. Yeah,
Basically, they need to start, and all the figs, all the big stuff, all the good fruit comes on new wood.
Like a new
well,
branch, like a new branch. That's what it means.
Yeah.
well, every winter it dies. I mean, all the leaves die, and you just have sticks. And I guess that's when we're supposed to trim it. Is that right? I had someone tell me one time that I needed to cut it down. I needed to cut it back to right, like down to the ground, and
Yeah.
I was mortified.
Yeah. So that's a very common way of taking care of fig trees. We have our oldest fig tree here is probably between 14 and 15 years old. And I cut it down to the ground one time after the big bad freeze that we had here. And the next year, it grew up 4 main branches, probably 7 to 10 feet tall.
Wow.
And that year after that, we had our best harvest from that fig tree ever.
Oh my goodness. Well, that means I could actually get the figs out of it.
Yes.
Rather than just, trying to jump and get
So if
the
you
low-lying things.
if you want actual good fruit, you have to kill all the memories, Miss Ann, is what you have to do. He's saying chop down the tree that holds the memories.
That's a good way to put it.
Chop down the memory tree, Miss Ann. I say you just plant a new fig tree is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that for a fig tree, there are fig trees that have been around for a very, very long time. But especially over like in the Middle East and in Rome. I know there was one that I saw that was actually growing upside down out of the roof of a cave. So it was actually found a place, and it was growing vertical, kind of like the topsy-turvy tomato. This fig tree was growing upside down.
Oh my goodness.
So
Are they easy to grow? Are they easy to grow overall? I mean,
fig trees are generally pretty easy to grow. There are some things, and we will bring up a sheet here in a little bit where we talk about how to take care of a fig tree. And it really comes down to climate. The further north you are, the colder your winters are. There are some things that you might want to or need to do to make it so that it will survive and thrive.
Okay.
Especially on, people like to grow potted figs. So for me, I have 25 different varieties in the ground, but I have about almost 100, probably over 100 varieties. So most of them are in pots.
Wow.
Figs
So
can
growing them in a pot is okay then?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We do have some that are in containers, but they're kind of getting out of hand in the containers too.
Well, they are vigorous. They are very vigorous growers. They'll fill up their container full of roots, and that's kind of what also triggers the production of figs. They like to have their roots all kind of filled up, and that's when they start actually producing figs. In the ground, you'll notice if you put a tree in the ground, a fig tree in the ground, it often takes 2 or 3 years to start getting figs. Whereas if it's in a pot, you could get figs maybe even the first year.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very, very, they're very interesting.
I will say this. I'm glad to hear that you said about cutting it back, because when I moved on to my previous homestead, we had, I think there was 7 fig trees on there. And I had no knowledge of how to prune fruit trees. So I called somebody to come in, and the first thing they said is you cut it back. If it's a foot out of the ground, you should be good, and you'll get a good harvest next year. And I was thinking, I don't see how that works, but again, not knowledgeable. I'll try it. And I did. I got some of the biggest, juiciest, and I honestly can't remember what figs he said they were, but it was a great harvest. And from the second year into my last year, I did it every year where I cut it to about a foot out of the ground, and it grew back different branches. And the good thing is it was shorter. So when I first moved, it was like 9 billion feet tall. So you had to put a ladder out. But the second and third year, I literally could do a two-step ladder and get the ones right on the top. And
Okay.
I felt safe that my mom could do that as well. She could go out there on a two-step and climb up
Mhm.
there and not have to, get out the big boy ladder to.
Well, that's one of the other things too, is that when you prune them like that, the first year wood is very flexible. So you can reach up and bend that branch down and harvest without having to get on a ladder,
Yes.
and they're going to bounce right back. So, that's one of the other benefits to, having it cut and, growing up again that year. You were going to say something.
Yeah, if you do cut them, just make sure you do it when the tree is dormant, when it has no leaves. If you do it in the middle of summer, that could kill the tree.
Right.
But yeah, if you do it in the winter time when there's no leaves, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. If you do cut it, it's like the tree has very little growth and it has this developed root system already. So that root system is going to put its strength into growth for that next year. And that new growth is what produces the figs.
Yep.
Okay. I think I'm just going to leave my old faithful.
Yeah,
I'm
for
just gonna
sure.
let the grandchildren play on that one because they climb all over it and swing and hang and all that stuff. And at least until they get to be grown-ups or we have great grands, I don't know. But the little ones that have come off of it, that's good because they're getting out of hand. They're getting like 8-10 feet and I need to cut them back.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can do that this winter.
Well, there's a couple of things you can do too. Is that figs are one of those trees that you can do a lot with. You can just let it grow into a bush. You can make it into a hedgerow, or if you want it just turn it into a tree, you can prune it to one branch and then one trunk, and then let it grow and kind of shape it that way. And you can't go wrong with it.
I need figs now. Eric is in so much trouble by the end of this episode because I'm going to now have to get a bunch of fig trees and we're going to have them everywhere. Because if John and Sarah can grow them, and I know you can because I've seen all your fig trees, there's a bunch of fig trees. Yeah. And if you can grow all those fig trees, I can grow fig trees. No, that's not true. I could try to grow fig trees. If you can grow them in this climate, that means that they can be grown in this climate.
They're actually one of the easiest trees to grow in this area.
Yeah.
That's what people say about garlic, though, too. And I'm not winning on that one. So
yeah, we won't talk about garlic right now.
No. So we're going to talk about figs, and I could possibly grow fig trees. I'm excited now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, come and see us. I have probably 40 more trees that I've been selling. I started the year with probably about over 100, maybe 200. And I've been selling them all year.
So how do you propagate the fig tree in general? Like, so let's just say Miss Ann is like, okay, I've got my fig tree. I want to continue this tree legacy from the memory tree she's got. She doesn't want to chop down that tree, but she wants to kind of maybe she wants to say, okay, I want part of this tree to go to all my kids so that they can grow their own fig tree from their grandmother's fig tree. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's really interesting. There are multiple ways to propagate a fig tree. One of the most common ways is when you do that winter pruning, you take those branches and you can cut them into pieces that are about 8 to 10 inches long. And what you're looking for is the nodes. You'll see where the nodes are, where the leaf nodes are, and basically just cut off that branch so that one of those nodes is near the bottom. Kind of scrape it off a little bit. And I use 100% vermiculite. All I do is pre-moisten the vermiculite, stick the stick in there, and then let it go. And it usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks.
No like rooting powder or anything else?
You don't have to. You can use it. It does help a little bit, but figs really don't need it.
Okay.
So, do you have a video on that we could follow along with?
I have a video, but I will do that for sure.
Yeah, we're going to need that.
Great. Because, but I mean, when you trim it and it's dormant, it's cold outside here.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have these sticks that I'm putting in. What is it that you put it in?
Vermiculite.
Vermiculite.
Like vermiculite in the pot, but then where do you put them until it's time to plant them?
Right.
So there's a couple of things. If you're not ready to do it right then, when you do your pruning, what you can do is just put them into like a freezer bag, and then put them in a refrigerator into your crisper drawer. What? And you can keep them there for almost a year before you do anything with them.
Right.
And then, so when you're ready, you can take them out and do what you need to do.
Wow.
Wait, then you can put it in their vermiculite,
And take it out of the bag, cut it, and put it into the vermiculite.
and then once it grows up, how long? Once it starts to grow in your vermiculite, at like what point do you plant it into the ground if that's what you want to do with it?
Usually what I do is make sure they have lots of good roots, and I use like a
Clear pot.
McDonald's clear plastic cup,
Mhm.
so I can see when the roots develop. And
Wow.
so I stick in there when I can see the roots and they start to put out leaves. We'll put them into the grow lights and let them grow for just a little bit longer, and then we put them, move them out to a regular pot, and then
Okay.
let them grow up.
That's awesome. And I mean, when you do it that way, because but quite frankly, totally by accident, we had some limbs that we trimmed off of Old Faithful out there and just we threw them in a container
Mm-hmm.
and ignored them. Yeah. They still had leaves on them, actually.
Yeah.
And now they've grown up into like 10-foot trees. And,
In a pot?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could take those and put them in the ground, right?
Yeah. Fig trees want to grow. They that's what they want to do. So
Miss Ann, you got already potted plant. You should give those to your kids for Christmas.
Well, I did.
You see, Monica's like developing this like scheme,
Yeah.
whereas shooting.
I like that.
Good
I am
scheme.
like thinking about all these really great, like I'm going to put figs, like I'm going to put them all kinds of places.
Because that's a childhood memory of my kids. They used to be able to come out, and when they were little, because the tree was smaller at the time, they were able to run out there and just grab figs and eat them right off the tree. And so now I've been told that fig trees have which mine is, decades old, but fig trees have a lifespan.
Do they have a lifespan? Probably. Most living things do. In fact, I have a variety of fig here that's called DFW Kelly Green. So it's grown, from the DFW Dallas-Fort Worth area. And what it was a tree cutting that a man brought to DFW from Jordan. He didn't know what kind it was, so he just named it DFW Kelly Green. The guy's name is Kelly Green.
Okay.
And that tree, the mother tree that he started, just died this year. It was over 30 years old. But we propagated it, over the years. So the tree genetics are still out there. I've got several here. So that's kind of how things go. Everything dies eventually. So
Sure.
Well, yours is doing pretty good, Miss Ann, because she's still pretty young.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And so,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just, if you are gifted a fig tree or you come across, which one is your favorite?
That depends on when you ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
That kind of plays into what I was about to say, is that generally speaking, figs come in different flavors, so to speak. I mentioned that I have about 100 varieties. There are worldwide probably about 750 to 800 different varieties.
Wow.
And they are generally broken down into 3 categories. That's a sugar fig, a honey fig, and a berry fig. Those are the 3 general broad categories.
Okay.
And so the brown turkey is probably more of either a sugar fig or a honey fig. I'd have to look it up.
They're very sweet.
Yeah. So it's one of those 2. But I really like the berry figs myself too. And we get that question all the time. What is our favorite? And it's you can tell what your normal favorite is.
Well, one that is good every year is the green Ashia. So that is one of our favorites. It's green on the outside, so it doesn't look like it's ripe. Which means it gets less attention from the birds. and
Yeah.
we're more
Oh.
likely to get it. And then on the inside, it is bright strawberry red, and it has a very fruity flavor. They're
Mhm.
delicious.
Yeah.
Is this
Yum.
fig season? Like, is now the time of the fig season, or when is fig season for like this area?
Well,
Like,
you know,
when are they in
you
season?
know, it's interesting. You know, when you say fig season, I think you're talking about when do you actually harvest figs?
Yeah, when do you harvest them?
So we've been getting figs probably for months now, and really what happens is you get an early crop, and that's usually spring, mid to late spring, and then in our area, obviously it gets too freaking hot, 1,000,000 degrees.
Yeah.
So the figs kind of stop and they just kind of, I'm not doing anything right now. It's too hot. And then once the heat breaks, we're starting to see a lot more figs again. So
Oh,
we're getting a second season, our second season of figs right now.
I think we'd probably get more throughout the summer if they didn't all get stolen.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
have wildlife that come in and compete with us, so we don't get as many as we would if we didn't live more in
Right.
the country.
Yeah. But, this year for our favorites, there was one that I got was a Spanish fig. It's called de Tres Esplets. It's a really good one, grew really well. It's a red fig, very, very good. And then we also had one called
Red. Okay.
Generi, GE space NERI. That was a really good fig.
And the other one that I really liked is called Robert's Golden Rainbow.
Yep.
It's a bright yellow on the outside.
Oh.
And then I don't even remember what it looked like on the inside. I think it was more pale.
Mm-hmm.
Really sweet, really yummy fig.
Yeah, and we were getting them to almost 90 plus grams. So, like they were, good sized figs.
Mm-hmm.
Good gracious. Okay.
That's some big figs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's important too to know, if you want to see what these figs look like, you can go to John and Sarah's, I know, YouTube, and they have a TikTok now because they're TikTokers. And they're doing like shorts and videos and like reels of some of these figs, right? Do you have like a Fig Friday or something? I feel like it's like something catchy because it keeps coming up in my feed and I'm like, there they are with their figs. They're so cute.
Yeah, I got away from it for a little while, but I try to do like a fig of the week, and there are several of them. And,
Yeah.
And for those of us or those people that don't know, I mean, they're looking at a fig tree. How can they tell when it is ready to pick?
So, Casey, do you want to bring up that sheet? You can see some of that. And we provided this to you guys, and I guess you guys will provide it to people that want it for the next couple of days. It's kind of a checklist, and some of those things are on there, how to tell when they're ready. So there's harvesting right there at the bottom. So basically, a fig will droop, and it'll be kind of soft. It'll droop, and you want to monitor the color. And when it's you grab a hold of it, if it comes away from the tree very easily, it's ready. And then if you pull it off and it has a little bit of a white sap, you probably pulled it a little early, but it's still probably going to be okay. You just didn't pull it at the prime peakness. So that's kind of one of the things there. You want to handle them gently. That's why we don't see a lot of figs in groceries and stores and things, is because they're very hard to ship, and they're really, really best right off the tree.
Yes.
They have a very short shelf life, and they bruise very easily. So they'll only last a few days at room temperature, if that. Actually, they only last a few days in the fridge.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the other thing I was going to point out there under harvesting, it's not just figs. You can harvest the leaves and make a fig leaf tea. And you can use the leaves for doing things like food wraps, kind of like what they do for grape leaves. So there's other things that you can do with the figs other than just eating the fig fruit.
Okay, I have a question because I'm not a fig person. Sorry, Miss Ann. Quick question, really quick. When you eat the fig, this sounds so stupid, but when you eat a fig, do you just like bite a fig or do you peel it open and eat it? Can you eat the whole fig? Like I literally have never eaten a fig like that. First time I ever saw a fig like to eat like off of a plate was this past Friday. I was at a ladies' night and the lady's like, "These are figs," and I was like, "Oh!" And I like peeled it open and I tried it. and it didn't have much flavor, but I like took a bite out of it and I was like, I don't know if I'm eating this right. And so I just kind of like put the rest on my plate and left it.
Yeah. No, you can eat them like an apple. You eat the skin and all.
Mhm.
Probably you want to cut off the stem end of it. That's what you were about to
I
say.
was about to say the same thing. The skin can be tough near the stem,
Okay.
but other than that, the whole thing is edible.
Okay.
That's what I hold it by is the little stem. And then you eat it. You eat it like a
Oh.
grape or anything else.
Like a strawberry where you're holding it by the stem, eating it.
Now,
Exactly.
Yep.
Yes.
That's right.
Johnny, I had heard that figs were one of those that you could pick somewhat early and that they would ripen more off the vine. Is that true? Because when I used to harvest, I used to just throw them in the freezer until I was ready to use them. Huh?
Yeah, generally speaking, figs won't. Once you pull them off the tree, they're pretty much done. You might get a little more ripening on it, but not generally, because when you're pulling them off the tree, you're really looking for when they're done. What happens is they grow up like this, and then they droop, and it cuts off that sap from the fig itself. So that's when it's just not going to grow anymore. It's done. So it might, get a little more done, but not a lot. Very, very, very little.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I remember that I found a recipe when I figured out what figs were. Because I, like Monica, when I first found out that I had fig trees, had never eaten a fig before. Except, this is going to sound crazy, and y'all don't come for me in the comments, but I had a fig Newton. Huh?
Nope, not the same.
I love my fig Newtons when I was a kid. I'm just saying.
Now, but the recipe that I found was bacon wrap figs, and I was like, yes, please, bacon on anything. I was down.
Mhm.
So I would harvest, and then I would literally put them in a freezer bag, because when I was pruning them, or not pruning them, when I was harvesting them, everything else in the garden was already ready too. But
Mhm.
then I would take it out and let it thaw with the bacon on there, or air fry it. So I didn't know if I was doing that correctly, if I would get sweeter ones if I let it wait a little bit longer before.
Yeah. Probably not. But so you were doing perfectly fine.
How did they taste, Casey?
And it had bacon on it.
That sounds delicious.
It does sound really good.
It was so easy. I literally wrapped and froze it to where the bacon stayed on there, and it was 400 for 10 minutes in the air fryer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That sounds
Fancy.
scrumptious.
I felt fancy doing it.
Yeah, see, it's not uncommon. Most people's thought when they hear figs is fig Newtons, and I loved them as a kid. I did like them. But a fresh fig off of the tree is so much different, and that's one of the reasons. One of the things we want to do long term here is be able to have people come to the garden and do fig tastings where they can taste the very different varieties that we have.
That's awesome.
So that's one of the things we're looking forward to doing.
A few years down the road.
Yeah, probably down the road a little bit.
We can be your testers. So if you need Eric and I to come over and practice, we can do that. We are willing to take that, and we're willing to do that for you.
Take that burden on.
We will take that burden, and we will be your testers. So
Just as long as Monica doesn't peel open the fig.
don't take video of me trying, okay?
Well, I do that too. When I get a fig, it's like I have to share it. So I peel it in half, and she gets half, and I get half.
See, I saw it in your video. Honestly, that's the only reason why I was like, I peeled it open, and I was like, this looks weird. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I was like,
well, it's so sad. What happened probably is she was probably watering the tree. When you overwater them, it kind of fleshes out the flavor, and they makes them less tasty than they normally would be.
Just like with tomatoes.
Yeah. Okay. It was soft and it was fine. It just didn't have much flavor. So I was like fancy. And I was like,
No, we abuse our trees terribly. We don't look after them at all. So we don't get a huge harvest off of them. But, when I walk by and grab a fig, I think that's an extra special treat. But you had on that sheet, and we want everyone to know that there is a worksheet here that tells you how to choose the right variety, planting tips, watering, feeding and care, the pollination and the fruit set, and the harvesting. That will be on our Linktree link for 2 days. After that, you will need to go to Two Doves, Bees and Gardens and they're going to have it in their area where you'll be able to get this worksheet to know how to care for your fig trees.
Yeah. One quick note is a lot of people have heard about, there's bugs in your figs, and it's that fig wasp. We don't have them. The fig wasp is only found, I think, in California and just a small portion of California, and then somewhere in the Middle East. So most of the figs that we have in the United States do not have a fig wasp. They don't have bugs inside of them, other than maybe ants, because ants like to eat them.
Yes.
But that's it. So there's no dead bugs or anything like that in your figs in most of the United States.
I was going to say,
I
I don't think I've ever seen bugs on the old figs, and I just never thought of it, but it's good that you said that.
I do have some bees and bugs flying around them and landing on them, but they're not inside.
Well, to be honest with you, if the bugs didn't want some of the plants that we're growing, then I don't know that I would want to eat the plants that I'm growing.
Yeah.
Because that probably means there's something wrong with them.
Well, one of the things, the reason I bring that up is because there are fig varieties that require that fig wasp to make the figs. So none of them here in most of the United States, you don't need to worry about that. They're called common figs. So that's on that sheet. It'll show you, which ones you to avoid. But if you want to avoid that, just get a common fig and don't worry about the others. See it right there. Avoid the Smyrna and San Pedro. They require a fig wasp, and we don't have them. So
Okay.
if you got one of those varieties, you would never get figs.
Okay,
God.
I love this so much. I hadn't really had a fig up until just this weekend. I thought I was really fancy too because I knew this episode was coming up. So I was like, kind of fig, so I can be cultured. Not really, actually, it didn't help at all. But you know what? I am so thankful that you guys got to come here and share with us. Honestly, we call John and Sarah, they're amazing, first of all, but we call John the fig father at our house. We're like, he's the fig father. So that is 100% his name. He is the fig father. But
merch is on the way.
there it is. He's the fig father with all his figs. That's got to be an amazing shirt. Seriously, I'm looking for that. But if you are looking for more information about figs and you've listened to this podcast and you're like, oh my gosh, I need that download, make sure you check on our Linktree. It's going to be here today and it's going to be here tomorrow until after our live is over. But then by the next day, if you're listening to this and it's been weeks or whatever, go over to twodoves.com. It's their website. Check and see if it's there. If it's not, go on over to their YouTube channel and send them a hate mail, an email that says, where is this? No, don't really send them hate mail, but no, for real, reach out to them and say, hey guys, we want the fig information sheet because I'm sure it's going to be there. But check them out. John and Sarah, you guys are amazing. I am so thankful you're here. You guys have such a great amount of information. And who would have known? Erica's in so much trouble. I need like 50 fig trees now. So I'm going to be having to get fig trees and I'm going to have to come taste all the amazing figs at your house too. So just be ready. I know where you live. So thank you again for being here. Thank you guys so much for coming and checking us out. We look forward to talking to you tomorrow. So don't forget to come and check us out on Around the Hay Bale. We're going to be here on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we want to talk more about figs and we want you to ask all the questions. So get your questions ready. And if you have more questions, if John and Sarah hopefully will be here, that way we're not, floundering around without knowing about figs. They can answer your questions and we can do our thing. And just thank you guys so much again. And until next time, we will see you guys. Bye, y'all. Bye.
And Casey and Monica.